the general calling of everyone who follows after God is to simply be a disciple, to worship him, to be identified as a person in relationship with him. But of course, within that and within that relationship, there's a tremendous amount of diversity and freedom. We're all gifted in different ways. We're all created to be different things, even though we're all one people. And so the Christian tradition has typically talked about that in terms of our particular calling. And in terms of what does it mean, who am I as an individual, if I know that I'm a disciple of Christ, if I know that I'm a follower of Jesus, if I know that I'm God's creation, how do I still understand what I'm particularly to do? And so while each of us has that general call to follow God, we also have this particular call to become who we are. And I think those are two really important categories to think about in terms of how the Bible speaks about calling. Students often ask, is it okay just to make money as a Christian? Is it okay to have a job where I make a lot of money? How do I think about that in terms of my faith? And the first thing that I would say is that God, above all things in our lives, wants us to pursue him. And not just money can get in the way of that. Lots of different things can. But under that, we may have a different calling in pursuing him that leads us to pursuing a job or career path where we do make a lot of money and we do have a lot of resources. In that sense, I don't think in the Bible anywhere that God says, absolutely don't do this. Rather, God's always asking the question, what is at the center of your life? And who is at the center of your life? And how do you understand your life in relationship to me? And so what I would also say is that one of the ways in which the Bible helps us think about money is it doesn't talk in terms of whether or not we should pursue a job with money. It talks in terms of idolatry. Should we put something else before God in terms of importance in our life? And oftentimes, money can become that. And that's where it becomes really, really important. And I think it really challenge the more money you make to think about who God is in your life. I'd say finally one other thing, just anecdotally or in terms of my own experience in life, the people whom I respect the most in terms of their relationship to both money and to faith are those who are least attached to money. And so whether they have a lot or a little, how well do they use it in their life? And how well do they understand it to be of much less importance than what God is calling them to be? How do we respond to setbacks when finding our calling? Well, what I would tell students, and this is such a hard word to hear, it's a hard word for me to say to myself, is that we have to welcome setbacks in our lives. One of the most important things that I think we can do is learn not to fear failure, but to give ourselves freedom to fail in the things that we do. The fear of failure is things that hold us back from all kinds of things in life. It may hold you back from trying something new when you're a college student. It may hold you back from considering some new ways of thinking about things. As you get older, it may hold you back in your relationships. And that fear of failing is a really important one to address. And the only way that you can do it, I think, is to adequately understand who you are in God, and then also have good relationships with others in your life that help you make a space to have that freedom to fail. So you may come to college thinking that you're going to pursue one thing in your life, and one thing is going to be your future, and then it doesn't work out. What are you going to do? I think sometimes for students, those are a very important life moment, a very important opportunity for them not only to change a direction in their life, but to become a different kind of person who's open to not being afraid to fail. As you grow up and as you grow older, not being afraid to fail is one of the great gifts you can give yourself. And there's been a movement in a lot of different places to have things called failure labs in the last few years, where people that are closer to my age will talk about times that they failed in their life and then deconstruct that and think about that process. And I think that's hugely helpful. I know I changed my major in college 4 different times. And then I got degrees in 3 different areas. When I was really young, I think I wanted to be either like a fighter pilot or a rock star. And I failed to really be able to pursue either of those things. But I've been fortunate to meet a couple of fighter pilots and 1 or 2 rock stars. And virtually all of them have told me they are jealous of the fact that I get to think all day about who God is and what God means for our life. Like they say, if I could do something different, I would want to do that kind of job. And I had no idea when I was younger that kind of thing would turn out to be the case.